it saddens me to say that the United States had, which for a long time from the 1945 onwards until the Vietnam War, had a three-pronged power base. The military was one, certainly with nuclear weapons, but then that was also the pillar on which Soviet Union rested its superpower status. The Soviet Union was nothing but a military superpower. It was never an economic superpower, never a political superpower, whereas the US was, by the way. The US now is actually in a comparable position as the old Soviet Union because it's losing to China, and it's losing to China in the most important sector, namely the economy. When the economy of a country, of a major power like the United States, which has enjoyed superpower status for a long time, when the economy begins to wither away, its public debt is out of hand, it begins to look like it will have a major impact on living standards and on its currency, on the value of its currency. When a country spends now, coming up in the next year, $1 trillion in a $27 trillion GDP, there is something seriously wrong. It has a serious, far-reaching crisis, and it's institutional, and it is very deep. It is not a matter of personalities, Trump versus Biden, Republican versus Democrat. Both of these political parties are responsible for this, both of them. Israel is the face of this crisis. It's a symptom in this crisis. The United States has found itself in the curious position of defending anything that Israel does, no matter what international law says, no matter what the Geneva Convention says, no matter what the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court. It doesn't matter. The UN has vetoed every single resolution intended to bring Israel in line with the rule of law, international law. Now, the fact that the Prime Minister of Israel was invited is another manifestation of how weak, structurally weak the US is. This was the fourth invitation of this particular Prime Minister to Congress on the 24th of July. And many commentators and analysts have pointed out that actually, if it were not for the fact that AIPAC, the Israeli lobby in Washington, D.C., had not, along with American Jewish as well as non-Jewish billionaires who are pro-Zionist, by the way, if they were not pouring money into the coffers of candidates, into the campaigns of candidates who support this policy of military solution only, as Bibi Netanyahu made it very clear in his speech in Congress. If it were not for that money that makes this, the election of these individuals possible, the reality is this Prime Minister would not be in Washington so many times, especially this last time in the middle of genocide. As Senator Bernie Sanders correctly pointed out, among others, by the way, but I'm mentioning him because, of course, people know about his background and so forth. Senator Sanders correctly pointed out, what are we doing? We're inviting a war criminal. This is a declared war criminal. We're inviting a war criminal, an individual who is the head of a state accused of genocide to speak before Congress, we're legitimizing, normalizing genocide and war crimes.